Hey everybody, I think it's about 1:30. We'll get started. Got an intimate group for the last couple hours of the last day of the conference. My name is Sean Powell. I'm from the Engage group, and we do a lot of integration work, a lot of dev work, a lot of campaign builds, that kind of thing in this space, in the nonprofit space. What we're going to talk about today is the different ways that we leverage the APIs of Engaging Networks. Engaging Networks has 4 APIs altogether. So the ones that you may be familiar with, like data export, for instance, to ones that aren't documented at all. They have when you log in through their admin, they use a REST-based API interface, which can be mimicked and bent to your will, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. We'll talk about two different things. We'll talk about the kind of the overall impact of what it is that's being done, and how you can look out for it and understand it. And then 2, we are going to get into some pretty technical details about leveraging the APIs, working with them, and how they can kind of benefit you guys. Again, this is Sean Powell. We've got Jamie Grams here from our client services group. Like I talked to you guys before, this is in the title of this, we have 2. It's the Practical Solutions Leveraging Engaging Networks API Services 2. Last year, when I came and did this talk, we talked about some of the other APIs and how we could leverage data being exported, that kind of thing. We're going to move through those into, like I mentioned before, some of the more advanced APIs. One of the reasons why we did this is that it's so crazy this time of year. It is absolutely knuck and futz, okay? It's crazy, and we find ourselves, we have to build emails, we have to understand reports, we have to see analysis up till the last minute of the last day before Thanksgiving, on New Year's Eve, all of these kinds of time, all these time frames. So how could we make our jobs a little bit easier by being able to automatically retrieve data, report on it, make decisions based on this analysis, and be able to request it easily. Like I mentioned before, we work solely in the nonprofit space. Generally speaking, human rights, animal rights and welfare, wilderness and industry. Just some of the other, this kind of speaks to some of the other stuff that we do with Engaging Networks. We build a WordPress plugin that integrates with WooCommerce. We have a front-end library that allows us to connect with the API for like donation form updates, email updates, that kind of thing. And then what we're going to talk about a little bit, what we talk about today, again, is kind of the server-server data sync and integration with Slack and our bot, TegBot. There's TegBot. So TegBot is kind of our interface. We talked about getting this data, right? Like the analysis for year end. Do we send on New Year's Eve, do we send an email at 9 p.m.? What we do with TegBot is we say, okay, keep me updated. Tell me how this campaign is doing. Give me an idea, a report on it, and say, here's what's going on. Here are the numbers, that kind of thing. So it's our interface. We use Slack for communication internally. And it's our interface to the API. Again, just expanding on what is talking about. We automate reporting, forum creation now, email creation, these kinds of things all through kind of Slack and this connection. I'm going to show you how it works. The insides, the guts of this is based on, who's familiar with GitHub? How many people in the room? I just want to get okay, excellent. GitHub is a source code repository. It's very well known for open source code repository. They created a bot, for the lack of better words, that's really like it's really just a group of scripts that make certain things easier, like connecting, like telling it what to do, saving data, connecting to Slack, for instance. Very popular. It's good to use because a lot of people use it also. So like there's integrations with everything that you can think of. All right. So the first thing that we talked about was this like reporting, this form reporting. So we go into Slack, and how many people are familiar with Slack? Everybody familiar with Slack? I think pretty much everybody, right? It's a communications tool, chat tool. The other thing too, and this is honest, I would love to be interrupted, and I love questions. So if you got, if there's any questions or anything you want me to dive into, really happy to do that. But what we do, say tagbot, and then there's some shortened keys for telling me how to basically say, give me these form results for form number 61188, year-end whatever, page hits, donations, revenue, average, highest. That's cool. This kind of stuff. And we've done this kind of stuff. We've been slowly improving this test over the last couple of years. All right. So when you're working, we talked about tagbot, kind of the overall, like the connectors, right? Slack, some kind of this weird bot, right? That works for us, that works for us, and then a connection with engaging networks. So, how many people in here have worked with the API before? Excellent. How many people have worked with the data export API? And when you got, what API did you work with? You familiar? Excuse me? Yeah. So familiar with what's going on, or with the concept. The stuff that we talked about before taps into the data services API. There's the data services API. Then there's the services API. What we're going to deal with next, what we're talking about next, is the REST API, the kind of the hidden API that we talked about before. Here, hold on. All right. Okay. All right. How many people, you can see that highlighted line. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Better? Okay, good. All right. This is not a public API. This is not a public This is not something that's documented or discussed, but once they move to the new system, their new system, which is a really nice new page builder, right, and new email system, they exposed a whole bunch of new endpoints for us to use. The applications with this new functionality that kind of by default, I mean, by kind of hidden, but there to be used, allows us to do almost anything in any way we want to. So the other thing we talked about, like being able to report, right, on numbers, stuff like that, make decisions for year end. Now during year end, when we've got to create, because we do this, 30 forms, and we've got to copy them and wait and log in and that kind of thing, or do the same thing for email. We could tap into this backend REST API. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right. You guys all recognize this. Tell me if you don't, because I'll tell you what it is. But just the page, it's the page builder. If you tap into, just take a look. I know this is small. Just give me a second, okay, and I'll make it larger. Here, what we're seeing are several API calls for the campaign page, for 31357, for a design of the form, for a template, authorization, that kind of thing. Going back here, we'll do this step by step. Step one, we reproduce that authorization. This is a demo account. Feel free to play around with it. It engages networks, but first thing you do, act like you're logging in. Their API will return token. Store that token. The next thing we do is we say, hey, what's happening here? Can people see this? Let me get it centered a bit. Going down the line of that network panel I showed you, and just saying, okay, give me a campaign page. Copy this campaign page with the form ID that you want to copy, and the name that you want to call it. So make this a little bigger. And Jamie, don't put any GIFs in the channel, please. Everybody see that? Make it bigger. Holy smokes. All right. So in Tagbot, we create accounts for our clients. So you go in and you say, Alexa, step back, just really quickly. Tagbot, new client. That 1897, that's the client ID in Engaging Networks. Demo is just the name, acronym. Very typical, we use acronyms. The last part of it is a token. That token is for data services, that kind of thing. So I've just kind of plugged in a dummy here. And then you can see Tagbot returns, hey, client demo created. So where that plays in, TakeBot, create form of the demo client, copy 31357, name it TakeBot Form 1. And then I talked about those steps. I use this to illustrate just kind of what it goes through to do the copy. It makes a copy of the form. It then makes a copy of the template. It makes a copy of the overall design. It makes a copy of the components. Components like the form component that you're building in the end. You have total, I say this, you have total control. So if you wanted to not add a component, this is automated. If you want to not add a component, you can remove it. So, or you can add a new one in. If you have a library of shared components, which is perfect for this kind of thing, you can say, hey, create form, copy this one, add in these components. And it goes through, bang, 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 new form. Make sense, everybody? Kind of sinking in?
So I came in and it's like you're using Slack to create conversations.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm glad that's sinking in. So,
Not just creating forms, running reports.
yeah.
Real-time reports.
Yeah.
Telling you here, Sean.
I appreciate it. I can be quiet. I really can. Right. We do the same thing for email. So, there we go. There we go. It's a party. It's a party, everybody. It's a party. Thank you, Jamie. It's a party. These guys know I've been working on this for a while. All right. Email. Email. To copy an email is so much easier. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I think. What's that? Yeah. Email is one call, and you've copied your email. Let's do this live and see how it goes. All right. Now, here, one thing I want to point out. You kind of saw like weird, you see this like the CF, right? That's just the call, the command to tell it what you want to do. So CF is just short for copy form. You could use either one. You could type out copy form if you wanted to, or you could use CF. So just when you see those things, they're usually just shortened versions of the command. Similar with email. Let's see. Let's go in here. Close it out. Manage emails. TakeBot's first email. All right. So there has been I did it before just to make sure I had something to talk about. But let's try it. All right. So I'm in TakeBot's first email. Up at the top, in the URL, which it won't let me enlarge. Just trust me on this, that there's an ID for the email campaign that you built. You want to grab that ID. All right. All right. Hold your breath, everybody. CPE. Demo. Email ID. ENC rocks. I think that'll do it. Ah,
No.
look at that.
Did it send it?
So no. It's, yeah, no. So let's copy this.
So it copied that.
Exactly. New name. You can update the source code. You can assign, work with groups. You can change the text. All the HTML and stuff like that.
If it's even if it's like an already sent email, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's especially like the ones that you want, like you want to copy from that, right? Because you're basically for the
Sending an email.
exactly.
Yeah.
We have commands for like I have stuff that create an email from scratch. It's generally more useful for us because everything's usually created or we've created once, but we do the copying like a million times. And there are things like tag components, right? Like Google Tag Manager, stuff like that, that we want to be very specific with and have a lot of control over. So this type of stuff allows us to move very quickly, create forms real, fast, and specialize or make them specific to our needs while we're doing that.
Push a resend,
You want me to do it again?
like a send.
So controls for like sending the email purposefully didn't add that in. I didn't want it to happen by accident. I don't want somebody to type in the upset command and it's like send is the last one, then they hit enter, and maybe it sends another email again. Like that kind of thing. So there's certain precautions that we take. There are ways to, like for instance, edit a campaign, and we've got some of that stuff. But we're kind of careful with that because you don't want to overwrite somebody that's already made changes to it, like that kind of thing. It's what I'm showing you. Like the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is like the most useful. This is the stuff. The reporting and the ability to get the real-time reporting, the ability to copy, create email campaigns and forms on the fly. Type in a number, you could copy. There's a command for, say, I want 10 copies of this. And you iterate through the names, and it just adds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Close?
Excuse me?
Close campaign.
Close it? No, well, I mean, you can. Yes, you can. Like, I haven't built it yet, but everything you can do in the system, you can do. I can do like this. I can do like, you can, everything that you can do that you log in, and more, you can do by kind of, but just looking at. And do you guys understand?
So like those who are switching from legacy probably have like hundreds of pages to close.
Yeah, well, so legacy doesn't work. So this is a benefit of the new system that you guys built and the way that you built it in a very forward and open way, right? Which is awesome. Awesome. We can automate on the old system, but it's very. What it does is we create a system that actually goes to the page, enters in the fields that it needs to, and hits the submit button, and then waits, and that's like Puppeteer, Phantom, Nightmare. Those kind of libraries, Nightmare.js. I know they're kind of funny names, but those tools will help automate like that kind of stuff. I mean, you can say you can. It's just that you do it in a different way. Is basically what I'm saying. So, how much time do I have?